All right, listen up, fam. This high school is basically a training camp for future criminals. We're talking sleeping in class, brawling in the hallways, even the teachers are too scared to step in. Isn't this place a total nightmare for studying? But get a load of our boy. He looks like a total nerd with those glasses, but he's actually a top-tier fighter who settles arguments with his fists. And his ultimate goal for being here? To get into college. And just as we expected, we walk into the main hall to find a massive showdown between students and a teacher. This girl is straight up screaming, "Stop the nonsense, old man." Talk about zero respect. And look who's watching from the sidelines. It's Mr. Sunglasses himself, looking like the final boss. Naturally, everyone's confused, wondering who these new troublemakers are. The sunglass guy's subordinate asks if he knows them, but he's like, "Nah, they don't look like my people." He points out they're wearing the same uniform as his own kids, meaning they go to Yusung High. This catches our study group totally off guard. They're probably thinking, "Great, more psychos at our school." Meanwhile, the dad finally puts two and two together, realizing he wasn't thinking straight. He decides that as a parent, he should probably introduce himself properly. And the moment he takes off those glasses, BM, the whole room is shook. Turns out he's not just Minhwan's father, he's also Sivon's dad. The plot twist is insane. Our crew is totally freaking out, try to figure out who this guy actually is. But before anyone can even process this family drama, one of the dad's lackeys escalates things from 0 to 100 by pulling out a freaking gun. In a high school, the situation completely spirals out of control. This isn't a schoolyard scuffle anymore. This is a life or death situation. The air goes completely still. You can see the pure shock and terror on everyone's faces. As night falls over the school, you just know things are about to get really, really bad. A major battle is definitely brewing. Cut to our boy, Gammon, who's in the bathroom. The blonde dude from before actually reminds him to put his glasses back on. But the second he walks out, look at that face. He goes from helpful friend to stone-cold killer. This guy is definitely more than he seems. Turns out this blonde guy has a serious background. He's from a dojo called the Greatest Tiger Fist. In their world, you prove your worth by storming other dojos and taking down their leader. It's all about strength and reputation. A quick flashback reveals a major incident from the past. Someone challenged their dojo and publicly humiliated their master. You can see the rage on all the students' faces. Clearly, there's some bad blood between these guys and our crew. Back in the present, our boy Gammon is curious. He straight up asks the blonde guy, "Hey, why does everyone around here seem to hate Yusung High?" And that, my friends, is the million-dollar question. The story goes way back. Apparently, the Yusung High kids have a long and violent history with Chinatown. They used to come over just to show off and start fights, which eventually blew up into an all-out war. This rivalry is deep-rooted and personal. Over time, things started to change. The people in Chinatown began to realize that not everyone from Yusung was a bad apple. Just when it seemed like the pointless fighting was finally coming to an end, everything went south. A new player named Hamwell Pai and his crew showed up. This guy was a real charismatic psycho, making everyone go crazy to join his family. They ended up starting a massive fire in Chinatown. And just like that, the truce was over and the hatred was back, stronger than ever. In the pouring rain, while Gammon is trying to wrap his head around this mess, the blonde dude drops an absolute bombshell. Someone died in that fire. The news hits like a ton of bricks, making an already tense situation a whole lot darker. In another flashback, we see that the blonde guy, Sunchul, is secretly interested in studying, and his friend even made notes for him. A sweet moment, but reality comes crashing back in with a loud bang, snapping them back to the dangerous present. The conversation gets heavy, touching on themes of life, death, and sacrifice. The vibe is incredibly somber. It feels like everyone is mentally preparing for the storm that's about to hit. Meanwhile, that female teacher, when danger struck, she didn't scream. She immediately ran to shield the kids. Look at her face. That's pure determination mixed with fear. You can tell she's going to be a key player in this whole mess. Elsewhere, two members of the study group are caught in the chaos. A drone flies overhead as the guy panics, saying, "This isn't just a casual fight." The girl is freaking out, asking what they should do, and right on cue, a crucial phone call comes in. Back at the standoff, the gunman is acting all smug, saying he's solved the noise problem. But he's just pissed everyone off. The teachers have had enough and are ready to throw down. Then this badass long-haired woman steps up. Holding her phone, she starts negotiating, clearly holding some kind of leverage over them. Her gaze is sharp, and she's not backing down. This lady is definitely not to be messed with. Meanwhile, the school administration is in crisis mode. They're already dealing with the student council president drama and can't afford more bad press. Changing presidents twice in one semester would make them look like they have zero control. Talk about bad timing. That teacher looks back on the chaos, remembering her students in peril. Her expression hardens with resolve. You can see her thinking, never again. She's about to take matters into her own hands to protect them. The villains, meanwhile, are busy plotting their next move. The red-haired guy with the glasses comes up with what he calls an interesting idea for his boss. A bigger, more sinister plan is clearly taking shape. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, our study group finally makes their move. Faced with a killer threatening to shoot, they respond the only way they know how, with their fists. An insane brawl breaks out instantly. This sudden kick completely blindsides the enemy. Look at his face, total shock. No one expected these seemingly nerdy students to pack such a serious punch. Turns out, this is one of our boy's friends, and he just unleashed a move called the Tiger's Bomb. The sheer power is insane, leaving everyone stunned. After dropping the guy, he just casually says, "All right, let's go." But Gammon's other two friends hear what sounds like a gunshot and hesitate to go in. While they're arguing about it, another student bursts out of the room, looking absolutely terrified. Whatever's happening in there, it's bad. The kid who ran out grabs Gammon, completely panicked, and asks him the most insane question. "I know this sounds crazy, but can you fight a guy with a gun?" The question hangs in the air, leaving our boy speechless for a moment. Going up against a gun is a whole different ballgame, and everyone knows it. His friends suggest switching to Plan B, but our boy Gammon, he looks like he's already made up his mind. There's a look of sheer determination in his eyes. Gammon's plan is simple, yet absolutely insane. The moment he enters, his friends have to tackle the gunman to stop him from pulling the trigger. It's a life-or-death gamble, and everything depends on perfect timing. The plan is in motion. His friends grapple with the enemy, creating the perfect opening. The second the gunman is distracted, our boy Gammon lunges in like a tiger, ready to end this. Jeet Kune Do, Judo, the whole study group is here, and they are unleashing hell. They're hitting these suited thugs with a flurry of different martial arts, completely overwhelming them. This is the power of the study group. The enemies are getting thrown around like rag dolls, completely unprepared for this level of coordinated assault. And our boy, he is absolutely furious. He's about to teach these guys a lesson they'll never forget. You don't mess with the study group. The defeated leader, completely bewildered, asks, "Who are you guys?" Our boy simply adjusts his glasses, his expression saying everything. Pure, unadulterated contempt. One of the guys even jokes that study group sounds like a funny name for a gang. Gammon's reaction is priceless. "Dude, we're literally here to study, not run the streets." But the gunman is still trying to play mind games, thinking he can win if he just gets a chance to draw his weapon. Little does he know, he's seriously underestimating our boy's focus. Gammon sees his opening and takes it, landing a devastating blow that sends the guy crashing down. Thought you could use your gun? Not on his watch. Against absolute skill, cheap tricks are useless. Even after being totally dominated, the guy is still complaining, saying it's beneath him to use a gun on a high school kid. Gammon doesn't even bother to respond with words. He just lets his fists do the talking, delivering a beatdown of a lifetime. Watching from the sidelines, the big boss in the sunglasses is getting hyped. He actually encourages his own men to jump in and get a piece of the action, to relive their school fighting days. Well, things just got a whole lot more complicated. One of the boss's guys gets called out. Even though he was a bit distracted, he accepts the challenge, a 3-on-1 fight. The tension is palpable as he gets into his fighting stance. It turns out this entire chaotic scene is all about the student council president, Sivan. The boss tells him that these people are obstacles to his bright future and must be eliminated. He's literally ordering a purge. But the 3-on-1 fight is over before it even begins. The boss's guy unleashes a forbidden technique from his master, a brutal and flawless combo that completely demolishes his opponents. It's a total slaughter. The boss is laughing his head off, absolutely loving the show. This is exactly what he wanted to see. Pure, overwhelming force that crushes any and all opposition. But the study group isn't done yet. The blonde dude lets out a roar and counters the enemy's fist of the tiger with his own tiger claw. Two immense forces collide in a spectacular clash. In the middle of the fight, an enemy mocks them for yelling out their attack names. Our red-haired friend responds by shouting, "Jun Lee, kick," and planting his foot right in the guy's face. Cringy? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. He follows up with some real-world judo, completely owning him. Our orange-haired girl is fired up too. She lands a solid punch on a downed enemy, yelling, "You underestimated us, asshole." Meanwhile, the onlookers are debating whether the attack names are cool or cringe. The contrast is just hilarious. We learn that Sivan, the student president, used to be a fighting prodigy who took down 6 adults at age 11. But now, he just got beaten by 3 high schoolers. The shocking turn of events leaves everyone stunned. The fight is brutal, far more intense than anyone anticipated. Violence once again casts a dark shadow over Chinatown at night, with every fallen fighter left wondering why. The leader in the suit is just baffled. He's thinking, isn't the student council president supposed to be working for the school? Why is he leading a brawl? These kids are just so annoying. The battle rages on. It's a raw, physical confrontation, a true test of will and endurance for everyone involved. At this point, it's anyone's guess who will be left standing. And just then, the gunman breaks his promise not to use his weapon. He points it straight at Gammon and pulls the trigger. A gunshot rings out, blood splatters across Gammon's face, and everyone freezes in horror. But wait, in the next panel, we see what really happened. Another girl from the study group lifted a heavy object and slammed it down on the gunman, saving Gammon's life at the last second. What clutch move! Meanwhile, a mysterious new character appears on the streets. He looks absolutely ecstatic, like he can't wait for the chaos to unfold. His arrival is definitely going to shake things up. The gunshot echoes, throwing everyone into a panic. Our boys' friends, battered and bloody, can only stare in terror at the gunman. It feels like they're completely cornered. The girl who saved Gammon is He-Won, the same one with superhuman strength. She calmly finds cover, but even she knows that facing an enemy with a gun is a whole different level of danger. The study group switches to Plan B, run. They know fighting a gunman head-on is suicide. Their only hope is that when the lights go out, the bullets miss Gammon. It's a desperate escape. During the retreat, they bring the injured Sivan with them. But our orange-haired girl is furious, screaming about why they're helping this bastard. Looks like there's some serious friction within the group. Gammon tells everyone to go hide while he stays behind to hold them off. His classmates think he has a death wish and beg him to leave, but our boy has already made up his mind. He's not backing down. Turns out, Gammon had already made a promise to the whole school during the morning assembly. Just then, the teacher texts everyone to hide, saying she'll handle the rest. It's a teacher-student team-up against these thugs. The villains get the update. The bullet missed because the lights went out just in time. They realize the teacher could become a powerful ally for our heroes, which also makes her a prime target. The boss in the sunglasses gives his order, bring Sivan back. His men regroup, and you can feel it in the air. Another massive fight is about to break out. So it was all a setup. The student council president and the teacher had already planned to expel Hamel Pie and his gang. But even with a plan, the president still seems hesitant. The problem is Hamel is friends with his other friend, Minwan. It's a complicated situation, but when pushed, he finally explodes, declaring he'd rather die than betray his friends. Just as they reach a stalemate, the enemy's main force arrives. The guy in the white suit gives the order to take care of this quickly. Our heroes are completely surrounded. And here's the kicker. The 6 guys Sivan defeated 7 years ago, they were this white-suited man's crew. This isn't just business, it's personal. And tonight, he's here for revenge. Back with the big boss, he gets word that people are messing with his son. He goes ballistic, threatening to kill anyone who gets in his way. This situation has just escalated into an all-out war. The teacher begs Gammon to take Sivan and run. She explains that there's someone who will be devastated if he's taken away. Who this mysterious person is becomes the next big question. Facing a flood of enemies, the study group stands shoulder to shoulder once again, fighting to buy time for Gammon and Sivan to escape. Every punch is fueled by their determination to protect their friends. Under immense pressure, Gammon finally snaps. He remembers a funny moment when his friends told him the Chinese word for study is kung fu. He thinks about his friends, this school, and decides he's done running. Gammon storms the stage in the auditorium and delivers a powerful speech to the entire student body. He declares that he will eliminate any distraction to their studies. He loves this school, even if everyone else calls it a school for gangsters. He loves this place because it's where he found friends willing to study with him. He's going to change this school's reputation, and he will personally stop anyone who tries to lead them down the wrong path. And with that declaration, Gammon backs up his words with action. He charges straight at the enemy, ready to fight for his promise. In this moment, he becomes the hero of the entire school. The protagonist aura is shining bright. Meanwhile, the big boss gets cornered by a different group, and they look like they're here to settle a score. He's sweating bullets, his hands trembling. Looks like his reign of terror might be coming to an end. A flashback shows the boss once mentoring a young fighter, teaching him that relying on weapons is a weakness and that true strength comes from empty-hand combat. The irony is thicker than a brick wall. And that young fighter? It was Hanwell. We see him losing a fight, but he believes his opponent only won because he went easy on him. The internal politics of these villains are getting complicated. Minwon, meanwhile, is completely sick of this weekly cycle of violence. While dealing with clashes against the Japanese Yakuza, he's growing more and more tired of the whole situation. During a mission debrief, Minwon proudly declares that he's the one who made their organization stronger. His ambition is on full display. He's not hiding it anymore. However, the old guard in the gang doesn't respect him, thinking he lacks true talent. They're still loyal to the memory of the original big boss, the legend who united the Incheon underworld at just 26. Minwon is painfully aware that he doesn't have that natural-born leader charisma, and it's weighing him down. He's at a crossroads, unsure of what his next move should be. Plot twist. Sivon's incredible talent wasn't natural at all. It was engineered. The so-called troubleshooter was actually a pawn, carefully groomed by the gang's leader to follow a very specific path. When Minwon finds out that everything was a lie and that he's been played this whole time, the look on his face is pure rage and disbelief. The betrayal from someone he trusted is enough to shatter his world. The boss's judgment day has come. He screams that there's only one end for traitors: death. Meanwhile, the teacher is running for her life, and it's clear she knows a critical secret. The teacher stops another teacher, seemingly an ally, and begs him to convince Sivon to choose his own path. It seems Sivon is the key to stopping this storm. And there it is. The teacher has the evidence, a box of VHS tapes that can prove Sivon's talent was all a fabrication. These tapes are the trump card that could expose the entire conspiracy. At the same time, our boy Gammon is still fighting for his life outside, taking on a whole squad of suited thugs by himself. It's a brutal, exhausting battle. Every kick is thrown with maximum force. Every opponent is relentless. This is just another day at Yusung High, a place defined by violence and conflict. Gammon screams at them to get lost. He's in a battle frenzy, desperate to end this relentless fight and protect his friends. But the enemies just keep coming, and Gammon's stamina is starting to drain. He's battered and bruised, but the fire in his eyes hasn't faded. He's still holding on. The man in the white suit watches from the shadows, his target locked. Our boy with the glasses. He knows that if he can just eliminate Gammon, this whole thing will be over. The other members of the study group are also locked in desperate battles, each fighting with everything they have for what they believe in. In this intense showdown, every second is an eternity. It's clear that tonight, there will be no peace at Yusung High. Gammon is gasping for air, realizing that every single one of these enemies is insanely strong. He mutters to himself, "Seriously, I'm running out of time." The sense of urgency is off the charts. Just when Gammon is about to be overwhelmed, reinforcements arrive. A familiar face sends an enemy flying with a powerful kick. Our boy isn't fighting alone anymore. Sivon also steps up, telling Gammon to leave while he holds him off. He knows that if the lie is exposed, the boss could actually die tonight. He's decided to end this his own way. Sivon stands alone against the massive crowd, while the boss and his lackeys laugh mockingly. He tells the teacher to stay inside, preparing himself for the most important fight of his life. A rainy night, a lonely alley. The chapter kicks off in a heavy downpour, setting a somber mood that hints at the heavy, oppressive story about to unfold. And we flash back in time. A young boy is running for his life, chased by a mob of suits. But look, another kid in a black tee steps up, blocking their path. You can just feel the tension. A brutal fight is about to break out. The kid in black takes a deep breath, his eyes filled with determination. He knows this is going to be tough. Meanwhile, the fight with Master Youngshun is already underway, and his crew is rushing to back him up. And it's just a textbook beatdown. Every hit lands with brutal efficiency. This kid might be young, but his skills are lethal, each strike carrying the force of a thunderclap. Elsewhere, we see a gray-haired master tearing through enemies. And their target, the boss in the sunglasses, is just kicking back and enjoying the show. Look at that cruel smirk. He's loving this chaos. Just then, another badass enters the scene. He's covered in wounds, but his gaze is ice cold. Standing alone against a hallway packed with enemies, he just casually states, "We still got a lot of people over here." The sheer confidence is off the charts. The boss is finally losing his cool, pissed off that his loyal beast, Sivon, would dare to defy him. And through a flashback, we get a glimpse into Sivon's tragic past. He was an orphan, without even a name, nothing but a starving body. The scene shifts to Sivon's first meeting with his future master, the Wing Chun expert. Back then, he was so starved he didn't even know how to use chopsticks, just grabbing food with his bare hands like a feral child. He tells his master how he used to get beaten up just for a scrap of food. The flashback is brutal. We see bullies throwing food on the ground, and he has to kneel and eat it amidst their laughter. Man, this is just heartbreaking. Hearing this, the master is furious, unable to comprehend such cruelty toward the child. But Sivan doesn't want him to see that painful past, a time when he had to trade his dignity just to survive because he was weak and poor. Classic Sundar move. The master tells him to get lost after he's done eating. But as Sivan happily runs off, shouting his thanks, you can see it in the master's stoic gaze, a flicker of warmth he's trying to hide. Fast forward a bit, and we see the master starting to clean up the neighborhood. The white-collar gang is causing trouble, and the Yusung High kids are following their lead. This place is basically the Wild West. Thanks to Master Youngchun, total disaster is averted. He establishes a new order in his own way, and this is where he truly begins to mentor Sivan. During a casual chat, another master teases him, saying he has no joy in life and should take on some disciples for fun. Little did he know, that offhand comment would spark an idea. As the saying goes, one of the greatest joys is to teach the talented youth. Maybe finding purpose through his students was the one thing he'd been missing. After all, nurturing talent is its own reward. Of course, this master has a temper. He accidentally shatters another school's signboard, claims it slipped, and then storms off threatening to expel everyone. Gotta love his fiery, yet kinda adorable, personality. And so, the master's teaching journey began. However, with the constant beef between the Yusung High delinquents and the Chinatown gangs, Sivan's position became incredibly awkward and dangerous. The timelines converge again. The boss gets called out by his own man for just pretending to be a father to Sivan. Turns out, their so-called father-son bond was a complete sham from the very beginning. In a flashback, the master admits he never had any interest in taking a disciple. But seeing this kid, battered and bruised, yet stubbornly clinging to life, something in him changed. That boy, chewing on his food in the dark, vowing to kill those who wronged him. He learned patience. He learned to wait for the perfect moment for revenge. The hatred in his eyes could burn down the world. And with the flashback over, we're back in the present. Sivan finally confronts the boss, no longer a beast on a leash. He's here to fight for himself, for his master, and to carve out his own destiny with his fists. A minute when I said he surpasses his master. Sivan takes his stance, his gaze unwavering as he throws down the gauntlet. Bring it on, you assholes. Right now, all eyes are on him. This is his moment. And the main event kicks off. Sivan explodes into action like a tiger, an unstoppable force of nature. Every punch, every kick is loaded with pure power and rage. He drops a guy with a clean shot, looking like a hero straight out of a Hong Kong movie. The goons mock him for it, and he calmly retorts, "This is why children shouldn't be allowed to see a lot of action." Then he starts counting heads. Oh yeah, he's ready to take them all on. His opponents are bleeding, but still talking trash. Sivan knows he can't just brawl his way through this crowd. He needs a strategy. He's calmly analyzing the battlefield, searching for that one path to victory. I have to go beyond my limits. Facing an endless wave of enemies, Sivan digs deep, his willpower surging. Every single attack is fiercer than the last. Meanwhile, back inside Yusung High, a whole different battle is raging. Our boy Gammon is being chased down by a massive mob of students. Looks like tonight, nobody's getting any sleep. Cutting back to Sivan's past again, we see him watching TV and hearing the term Big Brother for the first time. That single word planted a seed in his young mind. He curiously asked the man beside him what Big Brother means. The man tells him he's watching Jet Li's Fist of Legend, and that Big Brother simply means the strongest. The strongest. That definition was burned into Sivan's brain. From that moment on, becoming stronger became his one and only creed for survival. That man, the one who would become the boss in the sunglasses, drilled the law of the jungle into him. To live, you had to be stronger than everyone else. No exceptions. And now, over to the Incheon police station, where a detective is slacking off and having a nice dream. But don't let that fool you. He wants to catch the white lead gang more than anyone. Justice might be sleeping on the job, but it's coming. Image failed to load. Back to the battlefield. The boss scoffs at Sivan's power-up, completely dismissing the idea that a student could surpass the master. In the middle of this chaos, a call comes in from that very detective. The players are starting to converge. Even the boss's top bald enforcer is getting his butt kicked. He's been in the game for 6 years and has never seen someone fight this desperately. He realizes the teacher, that woman, has to be the reason behind all this. They can't believe it. Does this woman really think Sivan can take them all down? But Sivan is proving it with every blow. Nothing is impossible tonight. The boss finally gets serious and pulls a knife. He's going for the kill. He taunts Sivan, saying he's a nobody with no family, that no one will even care when he's dead. The fight just escalated to life or death. In that moment, the teacher sees her opening and makes a beeline for the boss. She's going straight for the king. The whole scene erupts in absolute chaos. The boss gets a hold of the teacher. He sees right through Sivan's motives. He's just like one of those movie heroes, trying to avenge his master. He warns Sivan to be prepared for what's coming. Seeing his master captured ignites Sivan's fury. He charges at the boss like a raging lion with only one word on his mind: die. The final showdown begins. It's a brutal exchange of blows, sparks flying with every impact. This is more than a fight. It's the clash of a new generation against the old, a battle of loyalty, betrayal, and revenge. At the critical moment, Sivan unleashes his master's forbidden technique, the Leaf of Mystery. This move channels all of his strength and will, aimed at completely crushing his foe. The battle is over. Sivan is exhausted, gasping for air. He looks around. All the enemies are down, but the main boss, that rat, managed to slip away in the chaos. But it's not over yet. Just when he thinks he can catch a break, a new enemy appears before him. The night is far from over. And we cut back to our boy Gammon, who's been cornered by another tough guy. The dude smirks and asks, "Do you really think you'll be able to beat me all by yourself?" Gammon's expression immediately hardens. He's heard that line before, back during the Osaka fight. Looks like he's up against a real heavy hitter. His opponent is a massive dude covered in tattoos, radiating pure intimidation. But he has no idea he's messing with our boy Gammon, who's got that main character plot armor. Gammon calmly rummages in his bag and says, "I'm out of time. Let's end this quick." The big guy seems to know Gammon, even mentioning Director Ma and trying to talk him over. But Gammon isn't having any of it. He responds with action, not words. With a sharp click, the fight is on. It's a classic clash of skill versus power. Gammon's movements are fluid and unpredictable, while his opponent's attacks are wide and devastating. They're perfectly matched. Gammon spots an opening and lands a vicious kick straight to the guy's head. His opponent is clearly stunned, completely unprepared for the sheer speed of his attack. The shock is written all over his face. Gammon presses his advantage, unleashing a seamless combo that leaves the big dude reeling. That's our boy showing them how it's done. A flawless victory. The panels start flashing between characters: Gammon, the teacher, and others. Everyone is in deep trouble, and the tension is cranked up to the absolute max. Image failed to load. Back to the teacher, and things have gone from bad to worse. The boss is called in his knife specialists, and she's completely surrounded. She's starting to regret the lie that led her here. The warm memory of a happy family stands in stark contrast to the cold steel of the blades in front of her. The enemy attacks without mercy, and the shadow of death looms over her. She holds her staff, desperately trying to barricade the door and keep the danger out. Behind her are the people she is determined to protect. The boss mocks her, calling her a moth drawn to a flame, flying straight to her own doom. The words are barely out of his mouth when the fight erupts. Amidst the flashing blades, Sivan falls. Meanwhile, Gammon's opponent is completely floored by his Wing Chun technique. He can't believe a high school kid's punches can pack this much power. Gammon unleashes a forbidden tactic of his own: one-sided consecutive hits. It's a total beatdown. His opponent is completely helpless. Gammon declares, just because a disciple becomes stronger doesn't mean the master is trash. This isn't just for his enemy. It's for everyone who ever looked down on them. In the distance, his master smiles with pride. But now, the lowest of the low makes his entrance. The White Lee Gang's troubleshooter pulls out a gun. When a fight goes from fists to firearms, the game changes completely. It's clear the gunman is an amateur. His hands are shaking uncontrollably. But that's what makes him even more dangerous. You never know when a nervous trigger finger might slip. A gunshot shatters the stalemate. In the ensuing chaos, someone screams about going beyond their limits. The fight has reached its boiling point. The uncle's forbidden tactic and the master's forbidden tactic combine. The two powers merge into the devastating Fist of Fury. This is the master and disciple team-up, proving their strength with their bare hands. But disaster strikes. In the middle of the chaos, the teacher, Hankyong, slips and falls. The situation is critical. Image failed to load. Flashing back again, we see the first time Gammon was brought to the Wing Chun dojo by a friend. He looks so innocent, while the master has this classic, "Who brought this annoying kid here?" look on his face. Back in the present, the aftermath of the battle lingers. Someone is getting their head stomped on, and everyone is in awe of Gammon's power. It was all thanks to him that the tide was turned. Someone is praising the fighter, predicting he'll become the next big brother. The guy on the ground hears this and starts trembling with rage. This game of power is far more complicated than it seems. Sivan slowly comes to, not even remembering that he passed out. His master rushes to his side, telling him the White Lead gang was causing trouble again. And here comes the massive plot twist. The kid who's been taking pictures this whole time is Minwan Ma, the son of the White Lead gang's boss. He's been orchestrating this from the shadows, planning to take over. Minwan approaches Sivan and starts his act. He's feeding him all this nonsense about how they're brothers, not enemies, try to manipulate and use him with his smooth talk. He lays out his entire scheme. He's been using Sivan's strength to get his own father's attention, hoping his power-obsessed dad would finally acknowledge him. Sivan was nothing but a pawn from the very beginning. Sivan is completely shattered. He truly believed he had found a family, that his father had actually come see him. He never imagined that everything he cherished was built on a foundation of lies. With the lies exposed, Minwan shows his true colors. He pulls a gun on Sivan, his final, desperate move. There's nothing more cruel than a betrayal from someone you considered family. Just in the nick of time, back on the other side of the battlefield, the boss in sunglasses gets sent flying by a powerful kick. That's right, our boy Gammon has arrived. He charges towards the teacher, shouting her name. The cavalry is here, and the horn for counterattack has been sounded. Gammon goes into absolute beast mode, plowing through the enemy ranks like they're not even there. These suits who were acting so tough just moments ago are getting completely demolished. He takes them down one by one with a flurry of spectacular combos. His power level is off the charts. The boss is stunned speechless by Gammon's incredible movements. He frantically asks where Sivan is, and his men report that he's probably passed out outside the karaoke bar. Watching Gammon fight, the teacher recalls the conversation between the masters about finding joy in their disciples. Perhaps this, right here, is her purpose as a teacher. Gammon is trying to get his master to safety, but then, a gunshot rings out. The master collapses, blood pooling on the ground. The plot just took a sudden, brutal turn. No one saw that coming. Gammon stares at his fallen master, his mind completely blank. The enemies are already closing in again. The situation is absolutely hopeless. The shooter was Minwan. In a flashback, we see him being mocked for having a toy gun. That humiliation festered into a sick obsession with real firearms. He opens a box full of bullets, a crazed look in his eyes. He tells Gammon that all that hard training is useless because a gun is the ultimate equalizer. A gun can end everything in an instant. Minwan states his twisted philosophy. Gammon answers with a cold, hard stare. This clash of values is about to ignite the final battle. Minwan launches into a monologue, spewing his contempt for concepts like effort and goals, calling them teachers' nonsense. In his eyes, why sweat it out in a fist fight when you can just find your opponent's weakness and end it lethally? And Gammon's weakness is his friends. Minwan says this while watching Gammon fight recklessly to protect them. This is all part of his plan. In Minwan's grand scheme, step one was getting his dad, Director Ma, to officially adopt Sivan, making them a family in name. Minwan and Sivan put on a show of brotherly love in public, but behind the scenes, Director Ma is already skeptical of Sivan's supposed strength. He secretly asks the teacher if Sivan is really all he's cracked up to be. And poor Sivan is completely oblivious. He even blushes when Minwan calls him little brother, naively believing he's finally found a place to belong. Image failed to load. Minwan brags to Gammon about his plan. He was originally going to teach Sivan how to use a gun and bide his time. But Gammon's arrival threw a wrench in all his careful preparations. He admits he targeted the teacher precisely because she was a nameless nobody from Chinatown, a perfect, untraceable victim. His cold-blooded confession sends Gammon into a rage. Gammon wastes no more words and responds with his fists. Against a monster like this, talking is pointless. Minwan is beaten back by Gammon's relentless assault. He can't understand it. This four-eyed nerd's stamina seems absolutely limitless. Frustrated and enraged, Minwan gives up on shooting and instead brutally pistol whips Gammon. This dirty, anything-goes fighting style perfectly reflects his despicable character. And, right on cue, the rest of the study group arrives as backup. They see Sivan on the ground and Gammon in the thick of a brutal fight. It's chaos, but they know it's their time to jump in. Sahayan spots the real gun on the ground. Being a huge movie buff, he immediately recognizes it as a weapon used in gun kata. He's scared, but he summons his courage. Gammon is still locked in combat with the last remaining enemy. He's reaching his physical limit, but there's not a hint of surrender in his eyes. His friends watch Gammon fight, a mix of emotions swirling inside them. They make a vow. They're going to change this school. They won't let it be a breeding ground for gangs anymore, and they won't let Gammon fight alone. Minwan raises his gun again, aiming it straight at Gammon. He sneers, "That is your weakness, you monster." With a cold click, he pulls the trigger. But in that split second between life and death, a drone suddenly appears right over Minhwan's head. He's stunned. Where did that come from? His every crime has just been recorded. Image failed to load. The study group members charge forward, scrambling to get their hands on that crucial gun. It's absolute chaos, but this time, they're not just bystanders anymore. Sahayan gets the weapon, no longer the timid nerd he once was. He rallies everyone, calling on them to bring justice down on that bastard. For the first time, the students of Yusung High are united for a common cause. And we're back for a new season of trouble. The crew is already cooking up their next move. While one guy suggests hitting the distribution box to cut the power, the real MVP of this plan seems to be this drone. Our boy quickly realizes there are no security cameras. Talk about a golden opportunity. He's immediately off, sprinting down the empty hall with his drone, just praying no one spots his little spy in the sky. Meanwhile, in another part of the school, things are way less strategic and a lot more chaotic. Some poor guy is getting pinned down, his face a perfect mask of rage and frustration. Down the hall, a new storm is clearly brewing as two others face off, and judging by their expressions, this isn't going to be a friendly chat. And yep, there it is. The dude completely snaps. He's screaming, "Why do they keep annoying me?" And in a burst of pure rage, he just bolts. Somebody definitely pushed the wrong button, and now things are about to get messy. He charges in and starts wailing on the other guy, screaming about justice, while his victim just howls in pain. Through flashes of memory, we get glimpses of their past, hinting that there's a deep, personal reason for this beatdown. This guy's rage is definitely not random. Oof, you can feel every single one of those hits. The attacker is not holding back at all, and the other guy is getting absolutely demolished. This isn't a fight, it's a one-sided beatdown. Just then, our boy Gammon, the glasses-wearing prodigy, arrives on the scene. Look at that serious, tense expression. He knows this is bad. Is he about to step in and shut this down? And of course he does. Gammon doesn't hesitate, sending the bully flying. He lays down the law, shouting, "I heard everything about how you blackmailed the kids to let you win." So that's what this was about. The guy's a cheater who plays dirty. Meanwhile, in a totally different corner of the school, we've got this dude just chilling on a sofa, glued to his phone. His buddy is trying to give him a pep talk about getting stronger and not worrying about surpassing some guy named Hamel Pie. Mr. Unimpressed on the couch couldn't care less, until the name Sivon Chun gets dropped. Okay, now he's listening. This guy makes one phone call to get the car ready for a trip to Chinatown. But before he can even make a move, this fiery, orange-haired girl straight up grabs him. Look at her. She is not asking. She is dragging him somewhere against his will. And damn, this girl can fight. Without a word, she unleashes a brutal kick that sends him crashing to the floor. The best part? He's lying there, totally dazed, asking, "Did you say we should hit Chinatown?" Bro is completely lost in the sauce. And we cut back to yet another conflict. Someone's asking this black-haired kid about his brother's place, and he just deadpants, "Don't you know I'm an only child?" The words are barely out of his mouth before Red Hair's fist comes flying. Classic move to pick a fight. The fight is still raging on, a brutal exchange of kicks and punches. But then out of nowhere, boom, a massive explosion erupts from a nearby building, engulfing it in flames. What is going on at Yusung High today? Is this an action movie or a disaster flick? The entire street descends into chaos. Burning oil drums everywhere, buildings on fire. Some people are panicking while one guy is literally laughing about how at least it's warm. You gotta admire the nerve. In the midst of the madness, someone reports that their buddies got taken out by a stranger who's ridiculously strong. The orange-haired girl from before is also on the scene, but she seems more concerned about her cover being blown. Dang, she found out about what I do in school. How embarrassing. Girl, read the room. The city is on fire. Maybe worry about that first. Amidst the blazing chaos, a secret conversation is taking place. A character sternly warns, "Please don't tell Sivon about this," clearly trying to hide something. The mention of his one and only brother adds a layer of mystery. This is getting deep. "I heard my dad's subordinates rarely survive outside the school," he says, just casually dropping that terrifying line. But before he can finish his thought, slap, he gets hit with a vicious backhand that cuts him right off. The sudden violence just cranked the tension up to 11. Back inside the school, the violence is just as brutal. Someone gets whipped with a belt or strap, sent crashing to the ground. A witness to the assault looks on in absolute shock, their face screaming one question: why? This fight is a total mismatch. White t-shirt guy unleashes a 0-inch punch, sending the suit-wearing dude spitting blood. He follows up with another devastating blow, launching him into a pile of oil drums with a sickening slam. Our boy Gammon, face bloodied and bruised, furiously demands an answer from his downed opponent. Why did you do that? But the guy on the floor seems just as confused, his expression a mix of terror and bewilderment. He clearly has no idea what Gammon is talking about. Red Hair tries to de-escalate, yelling Gammon, "That's enough." But just then a new crew walks in and everyone freezes. The blonde guy leading them stares at the scene, stunned, and says, "Wait, you look, what's going on here?" The plot thickens, and we're back to absolute chaos. People are screaming manhwa. Someone else is shouting, "Now is the time." Everyone is sprinting through the halls in a desperate, high-speed chase. We zero in on one of the guys being chased. He's panting, completely out of breath, with only one thought on his mind. I should just get out of here. In his panic, he runs straight into a railing, but that only fuels his desperation to escape. But ultimately, his escape fails. His pursuer catches up and sends him flying with a powerful punch. The victor grabs another guy by the collar, taunting him, "What now? What do you think? It's a cruel world out here, and tonight, he's on the losing side." The chapter closes on a terrifying note. A mysterious masked man stands over the bald guy, who's sweating bullets in pure fear. With his arms crossed, the man delivers a chilling final line. "We're here, to finish you." The intimidation is real. A new major player has just entered the game. Meanwhile, over in a park at night, someone's making an anxious phone call. But the guy they're trying to reach is cautious, never picking up unknown numbers. They're gearing up for something big, knowing Hamill is bound to make a move after what happened. Just as they're strategizing, an unexpected call comes through. The news from the other end of the line leaves him completely stunned. Wait, is this Sunchal? The scene he's looking at is grim. One guy kneeling, another one down for the count next to a motorcycle. It's going to be a long night in Chinatown. And the new chapter opens with a hell of an entrance. This silver-haired pretty boy is literally stepping on someone's face with a cold smirk. You can just tell from his vibe that he's a top-tier threat. The study group has a serious new enemy on their hands. Someone is saving a crucial video file, evidence that seems to incriminate a guy named Gunya Park. Flashes of the past hint at a larger conspiracy at play, and this video might just be the key to unraveling it all. The aftermath of the battle is brutal. One of the students is clinging to his master, unable to comprehend how he got so beaten up. He knew the guy was a prick, but not this messed up. Elsewhere, a commander is already mobilizing his forces, ordering Team 1 and Team 2 to converge on Chinatown. A bigger storm is coming. The men in suits are sweeping the streets, checking every high schooler near the Wing Chun Quan. They quickly spot their target, a kid carrying Sivan on his back. Meanwhile, the blonde girl is panicking. She's got the video evidence and needs to send it to someone, anyone, before they get caught. In a flashback, we see Sivan getting ganged up on by two opponents. But even as he takes the hits, he refuses to back down. He grits his teeth, thinking, "I can't stop working late hours." This is the harsh reality of his life. He has to push his body to the brink just to survive. The girl desperately tries to get help, showing the camera to bystanders. But suddenly, a body falls from above, crashing hard onto the pavement. It's the same student from before, beaten and broken, but somehow still conscious enough to scream. This guy's will to live is insane. Gammon is pinned to the ground by the silver-haired guy, admitting through gritted teeth, "I can't take this anymore." But his opponent just yanks his hair, mocking him, asking if he's just trying to show off. Gammon fires back with pure rage. This isn't about being strong. It's about something much more. The fight is incredibly intense. The blonde guy is throwing everything he has at Gammon, who's barely managing to defend himself. And all the while, that mysterious man just watches from the sidelines, as if this is all just a show put on for his entertainment. The blonde guy grinds his heel on his opponent, sneering, "That suits you." But the dark-haired kid isn't done yet. He pushes himself up, screaming, "What's your freaking problem, asshole?" His defiance only earns him another brutal slam to the ground. The blonde guy presses him for information about Hamill stabbing his mother, but the kid knows nothing. He scoffs at the idea of him protecting his friend. Just then, the bald guy shows up and throws some shade of his own, calling the blonde dude pure. The web of relationships here is getting seriously tangled. The kid on the floor is terrified, consumed by the thought of Hamill's revenge. The silver-haired man just grins coldly, warning him, "Never get your revenge." He compares it to gambling. Just when you think you're about to win, you end up losing even more. His words are as sharp as a knife. "Shut up, evil my ass." The guy in the gray suit explodes, unleashing a furious barrage of kicks on the bigger student. Clearly, he takes major issue with being called evil. There's definitely a story behind that reaction. The bald guy gets emotional, telling the blue-haired man that he, too, once believed he was evil. The humiliating things he endured flash before his eyes, a painful reminder of his past that he just can't shake. You acted like you're so great. Memories of being mocked and laughed at flood back. This isn't just a random fight. It's the culmination of past grievances. Every punch is fueled by years of resentment. The black-haired kid attacks with a ferocious expression as the narration reveals his inner thoughts. People weaker than him, even someone as strong as Hanwha Pai, they're all just trash to be disposed of at his convenience. That level of absolute confidence, or maybe arrogance, is genuinely chilling. Finally, the cops show up and slap the cuffs on the troublemaker. Someone mocks him, saying the director of the white lead gang must be sad to see him go. But the real heat is directed at his mother, Ms. Lee. This is all your fault. It seems family tragedy is at the root of all this. Kids are a reflection of their parents. The harsh words echo as the white t-shirt kid runs to a man lying beaten in a trash-filled alley. He urgently asks, "Wait, do you know who did this?" He's desperately searching for the truth. A man in a dark suit holds up a file labeled document for approval. He taps it lightly, asking, "What are you?" His sudden appearance is met with a look of pure shock and confusion. Who is this new guy, and what does he want? The man in the suit presses for an answer, but the student fires back with his own question. "I asked if it was you who did that." The man's internal monologue reveals his motive. "I'm asking because he's a friend of my son. So he's here because of his son's friend, Minwon." The chaos at Yusung High is far from over. A masked figure, frantic paramedics, students running for their lives. It all points to a mastermind who's been luring Incheon's students onto the wrong path. And the man in the suit, with that calm smile, he seems to be the key to all of this. Cutting back to the study group, Gammon is asking Sunchul about a man named Yeonbaek Pai, the leader of the white lead gang. Sunchul's response says it all. He's a legend, not the kind of person an ordinary guy can just meet. It sounds like they're about to go up against a real underworld kingpin. The blonde guy is talking about the rumors he's heard, naively suggesting that if the white lead gang just left, all their problems would be solved. His thought is immediately interrupted by a sharp slap across the face. Clearly, someone disagrees with his simplistic take. The blonde guy gets dead serious, warning Gammon, "I'm aware that you're not an ordinary guy. And that's why I'm telling you right now. Do not ever do anything that will catch his eye." Of course is Yeonbaek Pai, the man even the police can't touch. This is a heavy warning. Our blue-haired boy confronts the man in the suit on the street, getting straight to the point. "You're Yeonbaek Pai, right?" The man just laughs, admitting he's become famous. But when Blue Hair sees the name Hankyong Lee on the man's file, he freezes. This big shot already knows exactly who he is. The homeroom teacher apparently told Yeonbaek Pai everything about Gammon's conflict with Hanwha. The realization hits Gammon like a ton of bricks. Not only did this guy listen to his speech, but he knows about the fight. He's been on this man's radar for a long time. He's in deep trouble now. But in a completely unexpected twist, Yeonbaek Pai, Hanwha's father, bows and apologizes to Gammon on his son's behalf. He hands over a document for apology, saying he's sorry for what Hanwha did. This move is so out of left field, Gammon is completely stunned. Just then, a little girl appears, and Yeonbaek Pai instantly transforms into a doting father, scooping up his princess. Watching this tender family moment, Gammon is more confused than ever. Who is this mafia boss, really? The little girl, Hansol, waves a cheerful goodbye to Gammon as her father carries her away. As Gammon watches them leave, he has no idea that this strange encounter is just the prelude to a great ordeal about to begin. Yeonbaek Pai walks away with his daughter, leaving Gammon holding the apology file, completely bewildered. He might think this is over, but the narration tells us otherwise. The great ordeal was about to begin. That apology was definitely not what it seemed. Back at school, something's clearly happened to Ms. Lee. The students are in a panic, frantically trying to find Minwon. The trouble isn't just outside the school walls. Things are getting chaotic inside, too. Meanwhile, someone is being rushed away in an ambulance, their condition critical. Their friends are pleading for them to hold on. It seems Yeonbaek Pai's influence has already led to devastating consequences. A car accident rocks the streets. The screech of tires and the sickening thud of impact are followed by the wail of ambulance sirens. Was this really an accident, or was it something more sinister? Everything is shrouded in mystery. In one part of the city, a couple enjoys a quiet, romantic evening. But back in the school hallway, it's a completely different story. The corridor is packed with men in black suits, an intimidating sight. This stark contrast signals an inevitable clash. How will the students handle this invasion? The suited goons surround the ambulance, and one of them even pulls out a gun. They're here to save face for the director of the White Lead gang. Faced with a real firearm, the students are suddenly in a life-or-death situation. In this critical moment, shock and fear are etched on everyone's faces. They're not just outnumbered, their opponents are armed. This isn't a fair fight. This is an execution. The order to shoot rings out, and the students scatter. But one hothead refuses to run, screaming, "Bring it on!" Jaiwoo tries to stop him, knowing the detective can't possibly fight them all alone. A desperate "No" is cried out, and you know what that means. It's time for our boy to make his entrance. An adult steps in front of the female students, warning them. Kids shouldn't interfere with fights between adults. Meanwhile, in a bizarre turn of events, one of the students salutes a girl next to him. What is even happening right now? The suits surround the detective, mocking him. Do you really think you can beat all of us? He doesn't waste time with words, launching himself into action while roaring, if the Korean police can't even handle this many people. He's not just a detective, he's a one-man army. It's an all-out brawl. The students of Yusung Tech jump into the fray, fighting side by side against the suited thugs. It's absolute pandemonium, a chaotic clash of fists and fury. Just when the fight is at its peak, reinforcements arrive. And it's not just anyone, it's the masters from the Chinatown Kwon Association. Oh, this is about to get good. Gangsters versus martial arts masters. Place your bets now. The old masters find it strange. Usually, in a commotion like this, a guy named Young Chun is the first to show up, but he's nowhere to be seen. That's because he's currently being hunted, running for his life through the streets. But from the look on his face, he's about to turn the tables on his pursuers. The martial arts masters are on another level, dismantling the suits with ease. As the narration says, they've always been doing the hard work, cleaning up messes like this behind the scenes. After the fight, one of them remarks, "Great job, they won't be able to cover this one up since there's video evidence." But a more level-headed member knows this was too easy. This couldn't have been the true strength of Yeonbaek's crew. They were either underestimated, or this was all just a diversion. In the car, the man ponders the same thing. This definitely wasn't the full power of Yeonbaek's gang. Meanwhile, the study group finds Gammon. They're all buzzing, talking about how he not only showed up but handled all the heavy lifting in the fight. Our boy is the real MVP. Gammon fills them in on everything that happened after he was knocked out. He gently lifts his injured friend, looking upset. The others watch him, and one of them says, "You guys don't know him that well, do you?" It's true. Our boy always carries the heaviest burdens alone. And then we get this hilarious moment. Gammon is so exhausted he's literally falling asleep on his feet, complete with a snot bubble. The crew finds it both funny and endearing, telling Four Eyes to just go home and sleep. Even a fighting god needs to recharge his batteries. Cutting back to Minwon, he's sitting alone in the auditorium. In front of him is a shoebox, and inside are bullets. Someone's voice echoes, "Minwon shouldn't do something so cowardly." It looks like he's about to do something incredibly drastic. Someone suggests throwing a birthday party for Hansol, but the blue-haired guy's reaction is off. Then we cut to Hamel on the couch. When someone asks what he's up to, the blonde girl looks absolutely terrified. What's going on between these three? A ridiculously muscular dude named Sanjin Bang shows up out of the blue to see the silver-haired guy. He immediately compliments him. "Say, you got even bigger, Sanjin." They're clearly old acquaintances, but something tells me this isn't just a friendly visit. It turns out this musclehead lost to Gammon before and couldn't accept it. So he went to train under someone named Young Hyun Ji to get his revenge. The blonde girl is shocked when she hears that name. This Young Hyun must be a big deal. He finds it odd that Sanjin Bang just showed up like this. So he decides he needs to check for himself just how much stronger his old rival has become after all that special training. A test of strength is about to go down. The blonde girl is still processing it. To think that you went to study under Young Hyun, that was unexpected. The blue-haired guy mocks him, saying he's finally gotten over the idea that muscles are everything. In response, the dude hits a full-on bodybuilder pose. He's here to prove that muscles are in fact everything. "Do your best, Sanjin," the white-haired guy says calmly. The words are barely out of his mouth before another long-haired dude loses his temper, screaming, "I'm pretty annoyed right now," as he throws a punch. These guys really don't waste any time with pleasantries. The scene shifts to a hospital, and the mood turns grim. We learn that the ambulance was blocked, and an illegal weapon is now out on the streets. The police are putting up wanted notices to track them down. The incident at Yusung High has escalated into a major criminal case. The students are sprinting through the hospital corridor, their faces etched with panic. But when they see the figure in scrubs standing outside the operating room, they all freeze in their tracks, completely horrified. What could they have possibly seen to cause such a reaction? Inside the patient's room, the doctor delivers the grim news. They did everything they could, but they missed the golden hour for treatment. She's alive, but she probably won't make it through the night. The faint beeping of the heart monitor feels like a countdown. The patient is Ms. Lee. On her deathbed, she begins to confess her past sins, accepting bribes, overlooking wrongdoings. She believes this is her karma, her punishment for everything she's done. The teacher's confession continues. She feels she failed as a teacher, especially to Sivan, believing his body was all he had. Another young man's monologue echoes this grim sentiment. The world doesn't give anything to people who have nothing. It's a truly hopeless outlook. All I did was teach him how to fight. A voice recalls. It turns out Sivan's locker is filled with old cassette tapes. Perhaps the key to understanding him lies within these recordings. They find a strange videotape with a note. A strong man can become the big brother. I'll become the best big brother, like Donnie Yen. And suddenly it all clicks. Everyone realizes there's been a massive misunderstanding. It turns out, all this time, Sivan thought Big Brother was a title for an action movie star. He genuinely believed that if he just got strong enough, someone would come and cast him in a Big Brother role. The misunderstanding is so tragic, it's almost comical. All of his struggles were for such a pure, simple dream. Hearing the truth from her hospital bed, the teacher is stunned. She never knew he had such a specific dream for his future. She had always thought he was just messing around, but now she understands. The old photos of them together now seem bittersweet. But someone like you should be a teacher. Those words seem to trigger something. The heart monitor beeps steadily, a sign of hope. Sivan, lying in his own bed, hears this. Will he ever get the chance to become the big brother he's always dreamed of being? The female tutor speaks with conviction, telling the teacher, teachers should always believe that anyone can become anything. It's a message of hope for both the teacher and Sivan. From her bed, the teacher whispers in agreement, that's right. Sivan's two disciples are at his bedside, screaming Master at the top of their lungs. They refuse to accept that he might not make it. Their cries of grief and desperation echo through the hospital room. The long-haired disciple, tears streaming down his face, tells Sivan how proud he is. He overcame his limits and defeated 7 opponents. It's the first time he's ever felt the urge to praise him. In his own way, he's tried to will his master to pull through, to perform one last miracle. You can do it. You're not my past self, and I'm not your future, Sivan-chan. With his dying breath, the old master imparts his final wisdom. He wants Sivan to forge his own path, not to follow in his tragic footsteps. In a flashback, we see the old master finding a young Sivan, crumpled on the ground in a rainy alley. Now, his final wish is for Sivan to leave that dark alley and fly into the sky. It's a master's last, heartfelt wish for his student. We enter this world empty-handed, and so we leave empty-handed. The profound words hang in the air, and from her bed, the teacher agrees, that's true. In the face of death, all grudges and worldly attachments seem to fade away. But the story doesn't end on a sad note. The red-haired girl storms up to Hanwell, brandishing a document with a triumphant grin. Before you say anything, hey Hanwell, look at this. Whatever she's holding, it looks like the ultimate trump card that could finish him for good. IT means you're done. The orange-haired girl points at Hanwell, delivering his sentence. The look on his face shifts from confusion to utter shock. It seems the final judgment is about to be served. Just when we thought Hanwell's chapter was closing, the entire world gets thrown into chaos. A shooting in Incheon, Chinatown, hits the headlines, claiming 1 life, and the prime suspect? A teenage boy. The media is having a field day, swarming the kid, but he's staying completely silent. And of course, this immediately puts our boys' school, Yusung Tech High, aka the school for future felons, right in the crosshairs. The principal is absolutely losing it, screaming at reporters to get off his property, trying to distance the school from the incident. Meanwhile, back in the classroom, a student is scrolling through his phone, and the look on his face is pure shock. But inside the study group meeting, the vibe is way more chill. They're just kicking back, dissing Hamill's plastic surgery face, and joking that Gammon has as many identical pairs of glasses as SpongeBob has SquarePants. But their banter is cut short when the door swings open, and the look on Gammon's face tells us something is up. Gonna join? The person at the door asks. You'd think they'd be happy to get a new member, but Gammon's reaction is unexpected. He looks absolutely furious. Look at those veins popping. Whoever this newcomer is, they've seriously ticked off our boy. And it turns out to be a talent scout? The girl points right at Gammon, telling her boss, that's him. The casting agent is practically vibrating with excitement, calling Gammon a future action star and promising to make him a household name. Talk about a plot twist. RSY Entertainment. The other students are freaking out, immediately jumping to the conclusion that Gammon's about to become a K-pop idol. Faced with this sudden offer, our boy is just as confused as everyone else, completely caught off guard. Turns out, this is all thanks to Ms. Lee's connections. The students are starting to realize just how influential their teacher is. First, she's got ties to the TOEIC test committee and now an entertainment agency. This woman is seriously well-connected. Ms. Lee just laughs it off, saying she never fails to surprise people. She apparently recruited the agent herself back at a library, claiming she's got a good eye for talent. She firmly believes that any student can become anything. You gotta love her unwavering faith in them. Inspired by their teacher's words, one of the female students gets a burst of motivation, wondering aloud if even she could become first in their class. Without a moment's hesitation, Gammon gives her the encouragement she needs. Of course, why not? But motivation alone isn't enough. Gammon lays down some hard truth. To be the best, you can't just study as much as everyone else. He names their top academic rivals, telling her they're all your competitors. You need to study with a mindset that you'll beat all of them one day. Now, that's the kind of hardcore dedication we're talking about. The target is set. The final boss is Sahayan. With their goals clear, everyone is fired up, determined to claim the top spot in the midterms. Seeing their drive, Ms. Lee offers a reassuring smile and says, don't worry. But then the mood shifts drastically. A creepy, smiling face appears on screen with the chilling words, but that's why teachers exist. What's with this ominous vibe? In response, Gammon clenches his fist, his expression hardening. It seems a storm is brewing just beneath the surface of their peaceful school life. Speak of the devil, trouble has arrived right on cue. A silver-haired guy with a nasty cut on his forehead shows up, looking for a fight. With a cold smirk, he declares, you're done for. Welp, looks like another brawl is unavoidable. Meanwhile, the girls from the study group are casually checking their phones, completely oblivious to the danger brewing just around the corner. You could just feel the calm before the storm. Back with Gammon, he's zoning out in class, his mind on some guy with dreadlocks. It's clear everyone's got their own worries. Outside, people are debating the student council's latest move, and a mysterious old man seems to be in the know. The plot is definitely thickening. Over in class 1 to 4, the teacher's gentle reminder about final exams somehow triggers one of the students, who completely loses it. The others start whispering, what's with that monster? Just ignore him, unless you want him to study you into the ground. After class, a couple of delinquents are excitedly talking about the gun from the Chinatown incident. Word travels fast. Suddenly, with a massive crash, the classroom door is smashed open, and a dark figure bursts in. The intruder is a middle-aged man, panting heavily. One of the students, Sahayan, sees him and his jaw drops. Father, he stammers. The entire class is stunned. Is this seriously a family drama unfolding right in the middle of school? The next thing we know, this dad lunges at his son, grabbing him by the collar and yelling, there's no reason for you to go to school. Sahayan is completely blindsided, the confusion written all over his face. He's actually trying to drag his son out of school in front of everyone. The students are buzzing. Gammon and the rest of the study group immediately step in, trying to de-escalate. Mr. Kim, let's talk about this. Please let him go. Amidst all this chaos, one student with light gray hair just stands there, watching calmly, as if he's seen it all before. This guy, he definitely has a story. Gammon tries to hold back the enraged father, but the man is beyond reason, screaming, let go of me. The scene is pure chaos, and things are escalating fast. The other members of the study group are panicking. The boy with the spiky hair pleads, don't do this, Mr. Kim. But it's clear this father isn't listening to anyone. But then, Ms. Lee makes her grand entrance. She grabs Mr. Kim's arm and lays down the law. Are you aware that you are violating my educational rights and the rights of my students? Damn, our teacher is a total badass. That's how you handle it. Intimidated by her sheer authority, Mr. Kim reluctantly lets go, though he's clearly not happy about it. Gammon, meanwhile, is sweating bullets on the sideline. Before leaving, Mr. Kim throws out a final threat. If you keep behaving like this, I'll disown you. And just then, over by the physical department building, a red-haired guy peeks out from behind a door, watching the whole thing go down. Something tells me this is far from over. Down the hall, students are already gossiping, wondering what kind of father would do something like that. Gammon isn't having any of it. He pops out from behind a door and shushes them, shutting down the rumor mill. The red-haired guy sighs. No matter how much he hates him, he's still his father. Those words seem to strike a chord with Gammon, who starts walking, lost in a memory from his own past. Gammon flashes back to his own childhood. His memories are filled with darkness, poverty, and the constant sound of his parents fighting. The sharp crack of a slap echoes in his mind. The fight escalated until his father grabbed a knife, screaming, "Let's die together." A terrified young Gammon had to call the police for help. No wonder he's so protective of Sahayan. He's lived through his own version of this nightmare. And now, the story shifts, and we finally get to see things from Sahayan's perspective. He always saw himself as a side character, just watching life happen to the main players. That is, until the day the teacher called his name in class. He got a perfect score. For the first time in his life, Sahayan was in the spotlight. Everyone was cheering for him, amazed by his intelligence. But that moment of triumph was brutally short-lived. He went home to find his drunk father, who greeted him with the devastating news, "Your mom's gone." It turns out his mother had run away, unable to deal with his father's gambling debts anymore. Just like that, the spotlight vanished, plunging him back into an even deeper darkness. He couldn't accept it, desperately wishing it was all just a cruel prank. From that day on, he felt like a complete loser, both at home and at school. And at a place like Yusung High, being a loser is like having a target on your back. He gets deliberately knocked over by another student, who then has the nerve to mock him for being dramatic. But it gets worse. These scumbags start mocking his father for being a blue-collar worker, their words dripping with contempt. For Sahayan, that's a line you just don't cross. I don't get why poor people even have kids, seriously. That single, cruel sentence was the spark that lit the fuse. He snaps. He can't take it anymore and charges, screaming, "Don't you dare talk shit about my father," even though he knows that same father has caused him nothing but pain. Back in the present, Gammon, understanding Sahayan's pain all too well, makes a decision. He's going to the construction site to talk to his father. After all, Mr. Kim had helped him out with his own mom's situation. It's a debt he has to repay. But the moment Gammon arrives at the site, he walks right into another mess. A group of day laborers is facing off against some thugs from the White Lead Employment Agency. Gammon's arrival instantly makes him a target. One of the goons spots him, but before he can even finish a sentence, he gets decked by a punch out of nowhere. The White Lead guys don't mess around, immediately twisting Gammon's arm behind his back. Poor Gammon, he was just enjoying his post-hospital discharge good mood, and now he's dragged into another fight. It's the protagonist's curse. Trouble finds you wherever you go. It was Sahayan who threw the punch. He demands to know what these guys are doing here. Looks like this construction site has more drama than we thought. Before they can even figure out what's going on, a woman's hand is grabbed tightly. She frowns, her expression serious. A new chapter, a new conflict begins. Of course, it's that little punk who tried to scam Gammon before. He's back, and this time he grabs Gammon's mom. Big mistake. Ms. Lee sends him flying with a single kick. Hell yeah, that's what you get for messing with her crew. The other students are buzzing, shocked that someone would try to hit a woman. Gammon's mom tries to explain that's not what happened, but in the confusion, they realize Sahayan is gone. Now she's starting to worry. But let's be real, Gammon's mom is no ordinary woman. We're talking about a former MVP of the Women's World Taekwondo Championships. A little punk like that is barely a warm-up for her. It all clicks into place. This was a setup. The punk deliberately provoked Gammon's mom and had his friend film it, planning to blackmail her by twisting it into a story about a director assaulting a student. Their real target was Gammon, using his mom as his weakness. But our boy Gammon saw right through their pathetic little scheme. He calls them out directly. "Are you trying to film a video and blackmail her?" The look of pure terror on that kid's face is priceless. In rage of being caught, the punk lunges, but Gammon sends him and his phone flying with a swift kick. Seeing his partner get absolutely wrecked, the other guy just freezes. With the trouble sorted, Gammon's mom drives both him and the runaway, Sahayan, home. She's such a sweetheart. Instead of scolding Sahayan, she invites both boys to stay the night at her place. In the car, Sahayan finally opens up about the fight with his father. Because they're not well off, his dad wants him to learn a construction trade, but all Sahayan wants is to go to college. That's the heart of their conflict. Gammon gets it completely. He's in the exact same boat, enduring this hellhole of a school all for his dream of getting into a university. In this moment, the two of them share a deep, unspoken understanding. Sahayan remembers the moment his dad hit him, and that feeling of powerlessness washes over him again. All he wants is a chance to prove, through college, that he isn't the loser his father thinks he is. Gammon's mom offers some wisdom, explaining that parents aren't perfect and sometimes just don't get it. But for people who are desperate to prove themselves, she says college can be the perfect stage. Her words light a fire under Gammon. He jumps up, fired up, and declares, "We'll definitely make our school a safer place." That's our boy for you. Always passionate, always full of hope. The next day, Gammon walks Sahayan to the construction site, prepping him for a man-to-man talk with his father. Sahayan still looks nervous, but with Gammon's encouragement, he starts to build up his courage. Gammon gives him a final pep talk, smacking his back and telling him, show him who's the alpha. He even grabs his hair and makes him sprint toward the site. It's a weird method of encouragement, but hey, whatever works. But when they get there, they're met with a scene of total chaos. Workers are scattered on the ground, clearly the losers of a recent brawl. And among them is Sahayan's father, collapsed in pain. Gammon's here? Oh, this isn't good. The other side recognizes him immediately. One of them, a blonde guy who happens to be the son of the white lead gang's boss, flashes a sinister grin. A huge fight is about to go down. The fight ignites in an instant. Gammon is a beast, but he's outnumbered. It's not long before he's taken down by a massive brute, slammed hard onto the ground. Watching this, Sahayan's father seems to have a change of heart, telling Gammon that he's not worth fighting for. But Gammon just brushes it off, saying, "I'm just giving you some advice." Gammon's presence is really starting to tick off the white lead thugs. They mock him, telling him to go home and play video games instead of getting in their way. The words are barely out of his mouth before Gammon lands a devastating punch, sending the huge guy reeling back. That single blow was packed with power, stunning his opponent and everyone watching. Even Sahayan's father is shocked by the force of that punch. Gammon clenches his fists, his eyes burning with determination. The real fight has just begun. The HR manager of the white lead agency, a bald heavy hitter, is also taken aback by Gammon's power. He never expected a high school kid to pack such an explosive punch. But what shocks him even more is the realization that the guy they're roughing up is his own vice president's son. This is a major screw-up. He scrambles to apologize, making the whole situation incredibly awkward. Right on cue, Sahayan arrives, equally surprised by the scene unfolding before him. These two really have a knack for finding each other in the most messed-up situations. And who's behind all this? Hamwell, of course. He sent these guys to stir up trouble specifically to get under Gammon's skin and make his life a living hell. Even though Gammon is currently at a disadvantage, giving up is not in his vocabulary. He knows this fight isn't just for him. It's for everyone he's trying to protect. Finally, the site manager, Sahayan's father, steps up. He confronts the white lead thugs, demanding to know what's going on. It turns out the agency is trying to monopolize the labor at this site, using dirty tactics to drive out the regular day laborers. The white lead manager doesn't even bother to hide their intentions, openly mocking the workers and saying they deserve to be exploited for not having proper skills. That kind of twisted logic pisses off everyone present. As he continues his disgusting speech, he kicks Sahayan's father to the ground. Sahayan can only watch, frozen in shock, as his dad is attacked. If you didn't want agencies taking fees, you should have learned a proper skill. Just learn some construction skills instead of going to college. The words hit Sahayan like a ton of bricks. In that moment, he finally understands his father's stubbornness. It wasn't malice. It was the only survival rule a blue-collar worker knew in a world that had beaten him down. Seeing his friend's father being humiliated, Gammon is enraged. He knows he has to step in. He'll fight for his friend and for all the ordinary people being pushed around. The young master of white lead, the blonde punk, proposes a game. They'll take turns punching each other. If Gammon can move him even an inch from where he's standing, the agency will leave the site for good. He rips off his shirt, revealing a ridiculously muscular physique. "Bring it on," he taunts. This isn't just a challenge. It's a declaration of absolute confidence. He thinks this is an impossible task. Gammon stares him down without a hint of fear. He knows what his father did is unforgivable, but right now, he has to fight for this man for Sahayan. The muscle-bound guy arrogantly tells Sahayan to take the first shot to show me what you got. Sahayan takes a deep breath. He knows this single punch carries the weight of his father's dignity and the livelihood of all the workers. Looking at the guy's body, which looks like a solid wall of muscle, everyone's worried for Sahayan. But in that moment, Sahayan's mind goes back to the red-haired guy, the one who taught him how to be strong. The red-haired guy had noticed that Gammon incorporated Taekwondo basics into his Jeet Kune Do. And the core of Taekwondo? It's all about training your fundamental power. And what he's about to teach Sahayan is exactly that, the purest, most fundamental Taekwondo power technique, a skill he stole from watching Gammon, who in turn learned it from his mom. He calls it Mom's Basic Tactic First Move. The name might sound a little cute, but the look on Sahayan's face tells us the power behind this move is no joke. If you can push me even an inch, your father gets his job back. The muscle-bound opponent repeats the terms. Sahayan's fate, the future of the workers, it all rides on this next punch. The bald manager taunts him from the sidelines, reminding him that his father's livelihood is in his hands. The immense pressure weighs heavily on Sahayan, his expression grim. His opponent generously lets him go first. Sahayan's eyes sharpen. He clenches his fist, channeling all his strength into a single, decisive punch. Flashback to not long ago. The red-haired guy is giving Sahayan some special training. He's explaining the essence of the front punch in a ridiculously over-the-top voice, earning a deadpan reply from Sahayan. Maybe I should just watch YouTube. He might seem like a goofball, but when it comes to fighting, he's all business. He meticulously breaks down the proper way to make a fist, how to use the bone structure to reinforce the wrist. Sahayan is skeptical, but follows his instructions. From the stance and core engagement to the trajectory of the punch, the red-haired guy teaches him every single detail of the front punch. It's a move that looks simple, but is packed with complex techniques. Sahayan practices relentlessly on a punching bag, searching for that perfect transfer of power with every strike. He's a natural, grasping the core principles with incredible speed. The red-haired guy pushes him harder and harder. Again. With each repetitive blow, Sahayan's punches become stronger, more stable. He trains tirelessly, burning his coach's every word into his memory. He's drenched in sweat, but doesn't care. He knows this is his one and only chance to become strong. To his surprise, the red-haired guy realizes that Sahayan hasn't just understood the principles, he's adapted them, figuring out a power delivery method that's perfect for his own body. This kid, he's a genius. It turns out Sahayan was born with a thicker, denser ulna bone. Genetically, his arms are built to withstand impact far better than the average person. He was literally born to fight. Flashback ends. Back to the present. Sahayan pours everything he's learned, all his anger and frustration, into this single punch, unleashing it on the man who called him a loser. Boom! A massive impact. A look of pure disbelief spreads across the muscle man's face. This wasn't the punch of a high school kid. This was the fong of an awakened beast. Now it's the muscle man's turn. He throws a punch with all his might, but Sahayan takes it head on. The pain is immense, but he doesn't back down an inch. Now he's really pissed. The muscle-bound freak can't believe this scrawny kid can take his hits. He unleashes a furious barrage, but Sahayan stands his ground like an unmovable oak tree. He even grabs Sahayan by the collar, but the look in Sahayan's eyes is no longer that of a weak, bullied kid. Something inside him has awakened. Sahayan's father watches his son with a complex expression. He probably never imagined that the son he always looked down on had this much fight in him. Memories of being bullied at school and ignored at home flash through his mind. He can take the physical pain. What he can't take is the soul-crushing despair of feeling abandoned by the entire world. Let's do this one more time. He screams at the ghost of his father in his mind, but he's really screaming at himself. With this one fight, he's going to leave his old self behind for good. He erupts with astonishing power, even using a grappling move to lock down the muscle man, who outweighs him by a huge margin. Caught completely off guard by this sudden change in tactics, the muscle man stumbles back. One step, two steps. He's been moved. Sahayan did it. He won. The workers are stunned, unable to believe what they're seeing. The kid who is always getting pushed around just performed an actual miracle. The muscle man is shocked at first, but then he just bursts into loud, hearty laughter. He lost, but he's not even mad. He just witnessed the birth of a true fighter. In this moment, Sahayan is no longer the weak kid who needs protecting. He stands tall, having earned back his father's dignity with his own two fists, and in doing so, has punched open a new path for his own life.